How's it going, folks? Hope you are having a wonderful day and that you are chilling out, doing your own thing, or at work, or being good, essentially, having a good day. I have been looking forward to this video since the reveal of 10th edition months ago. This is something I've been wanting to do for ages. And finally, today, I'm getting to do it. If you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below. The Patreon button is also down below if you want to support me in the channel. It goes a long way to help me out. Obviously, YouTube's ad revenue and all that sort of stuff goes up and down every single month. So, if you want me to do more of these videos, I would love to do 2 a day. I'd love to do this full time eventually. Patreon is the place to go if you want to help out and you want to make sure that, you know, you're keeping the lights on around here. That's the way to do it. Anyway, love you a long time. Let's get started with, and I mean, this is going to be awesome. And this is going to be the one video in these previews where I'm going to be showing a lot of, shall we say, oomph, because you know what my army is. You know I love myself some Grey Knights. And we are now in the midst of finding out what the Grey Knights are all about in 10th edition. So, you know, as you know, I'm very, very happy with 10th edition so far. I think there are some concerns when it comes to the sheer strength of armor at the moment and how strong a weapon's going to be. But I am of the opinion that, look, until I actually get the game in front of me, I can't give you an opinion where I say, look, this is how it works, this is how it plays, and I like it or I don't like it, right? This is the first edition that's going to be revealed whilst the channel's doing what it's doing, right? Because 9th edition came out around about the time my channel was starting to gain traction, okay? 10th edition is the first one that's come out whilst my channel's doing okay and we're all having fun together. So, let's jump in. This is the Warhammer 40,000 faction focus on the Grey Knights. The best army in Warhammer 40,000, bar none, right? I mean, look at them. They're the coolest stuff ever. If anybody's deserved a Primaris upgrade, I know a lot of you will say, no, you know, there's lots of chapters that need a Primaris upgrade. No. Give me Primaris-sized Grey Knights. Look at how cool they are, right? Look at how they're literally Space Knights. Literally. You can say, oh, Black Templars. No, not really. They're Germanic. Those are Germanic Space Knights. Those are like, you know, the Iron Crosses and all that. No, these are actual Arthurian Space Knights that we have here. Please give me some of these in Primaris-sized. I would give you all of the money. Moving on. And I know how cool these will look because I make my own. I use Stormcast Eternals and I combine them with Grey Knight box sets to make certain special units like Purifiers and people like that. If you've been a long-time fan of the channel, you know what they look like. They look the shit. They look really, really cool. Anyway, so, demons are a royal pain in the Imperium's behind, and their otherworldly warp-fueled abilities make them especially nightmarish for regular rank-and-file soldiers to deal with. Now, that hasn't always been the case. That's something that I've always been really, really hard on Games Workshop for. Demons aren't really that much of a threat on the tabletop, and they never really have been, and that really annoys me. I do think that demons should be extremely strong against pretty much everybody, right? There should be a really, really, really good main villain in the series. It shouldn't be the Chaos Space Marines. They should be there, they should still be strong, but the strongest form of chaos should be giving in to chaos, right? That's the whole point. Why would you get seduced by something when you're better than that already? Which is what Chaos Space Marines are, because they can already take demons, right? Demons should be the apex chaos threat. They should be the big bad of the setting. They should be one of the top 2 armies on the tabletop all of the time. Until they face Grey Knights. So, I would give the demons everything. I would say you're one of the top 2 factions in every single edition of Warhammer 40,000, and you always will be. But when you see a Grey Knight army, you fucking run. You run. Because they are literally the hard counter to your army. That's what I would do. I'd say, look, you have one army in the entire range that you just cannot deal with without a bit of luck on your side. A demon army should need loads of luck to beat a Grey Knight army. Everybody else, fine. You know, they're at least on par. Most of the time, they're better. But in terms of Grey Knights, they should struggle, and they should be like, yeah, I do not want to play that guy, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's thematic, right? You're literally, it's Ludo narrative harmony, right? Everybody's getting involved, and everybody knows, demons and Grey Knights don't like each other. They don't even like, the demons don't like fighting Grey Knights. Well, the players shouldn't like fighting Grey Knight players. It works, right? It works, and I know you'll get less games, but at the end of the day, that makes it much cooler to deal with. You're not trying to please everybody all of the time. Demons should be more powerful, and Games Workshop saying things like this just makes me realise how they're not. They're not. They're just an average army in Warhammer 40,000, and they shouldn't be. They should be really, really, really strong. Anyway, moving on. Even Space Marines have a hard time dealing with major incursions. They don't in the tabletop game, sorry. Which is why the ever-thoughtful Emperor founded a sect of specialist demon hunters to fight back against the galaxy's most warp spawns in secret. Worst warp spawn in secret. Again, frustration, because Space Marines do not struggle dealing with demons in the normal game. They just don't, right? Especially in 9th edition, they just don't. It just is what it is. One chapter versus every demon in the galaxy. That's just how good the Grey Knights are. Again, not only are we giving, if we did that with the demons, not only are we giving them their time in the sun against everybody else, but we're showing you how epic and cool the Grey Knights are. By the way, the Grey Knights against everybody else, apart from demons, are pretty good, right? They would be in the top 5 or 6 factions, no problem, in terms of sheer power of their codex, or their rules as they come out, right? But against demons, oh boy, right? Yeah, anyway, moving on. That's how I would do Warhammer, but moving on. Grey Knights are tasked with vanquishing all things born from the warp, armed with a sanctified war gear and specialist training designed to take down creatures of the Empyrean. They're just as deadly when facing more material factions, however. Disciplined psychic abilities, finely honed blades, and barking storm bolters make Grey Knights a terror on the assault, and their signature teleport strikes will decapitate an Orc War or a Hive Fleet incursion as easily as any Chaos Cult. Alrighty. As far as the Imperial citizens lucky enough to see them are concerned, they're not alive for very long afterwards, the Grey Knights are a pure embodiment of the Emperor's divine wrath. They appear from nowhere in a flash of light and fury, their shining silver armour blazing with a corona of psychic energy. The Sons of Titan employ teleportation with a skill few can match, deploying and even redeploying in massed teleport assaults, guided by their prognosticars and protected from the hazards of the warp. Okay, so, the Grey Knights army rule, here we are, the big rule. If you have a Grey Knights army, you have this rule. Let's read it. I'm kind of nervous. Hopefully it's good. Let's get into it. Teleport assault. If your army faction is Grey Knights, as mine is, at the end of your opponent's turn, you can select a number of Grey Knights units from your army with this ability, excluding units that are within engagement range of one or more enemy units. That's like hand range, like in hand-to-hand combat. The maximum number of units you can select depends on the battle size, as follows. A combat patrol game up to 1 unit. Okay, yeah. So as the amount of units you have gets bigger, the amount of units you can use this on gets bigger. Okay. That's a good way to balance it, I suppose. Once you have made your selections, remove those units from the battlefield. What? At the end of your opponent's turn, remove those units from the battlefield. In the reinforcement step of your next movement phase, set each of those units up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches horizontally away from all enemy models. Any units that are not on the battlefield at the end of the battle count as destroyed. Okay, so, wow, that's like constantly redeploying. Somebody said something the other day on one of my videos saying this is way overpowered. I'm going to tell you why it isn't, or why I don't think it is. Most people now, when they see a Grey Knight army, one of my friends does this. When he sees me taking my Grey Knights, he positions his units in a gamified way where I can't deep strike anywhere near him. I can deep strike in front of him, but I can't deep strike anywhere near him, right? It's a gamey way of doing things. It's a bit annoying, but, it's in the rules, and it's not cheating. It just, he doesn't want me deep striking anywhere near his units. That's fine. So he said, no, you can't deep strike there, it's 9 inches away. That every single thing he does on the tabletop is always, he pre-measures it, right? So he's like, 9 inches, 9, I can tell what he's doing. He's like, yeah, 9 inches there, 9 inches there, I'm covered, all my bases are covered, you can't deep strike behind me. You can't deep strike into my more precious lines because here I am, right? What this rule allows me to do is punch a hole in his lines and then deep strike people into it. Right? That's a much more balanced way of forcing turtlers and people who just sit at the back of the board to be terrified of your Grey Knight units, right? But I still need to have the skill to punch that hole in his lines to make sure that I can teleport in there. I like that. That's cool. And as far as I'm aware, so at the end of your opponent's turn, so if I'm taking a bit of a beating or whatever, I'm like, oh, I don't like that, I can get out of there. I can just, right, okay, I'm selecting that unit, we're just gone, we're getting out of there. I'm going to go over here and shoot these now, you know? That is an incredibly flexible teleport assault from the Grey Knights there, and it's something that we've been missing for a long time. Everybody in the game can essentially do teleport, can deep strike in, right? Every army can do it. So how do you make the Grey Knights do it in a way that no other army can match? Well, you let them do it all the way through the battle at the end of your opponent's turn. So you survey the battlefield, you look at what's going on, and just like Grey Knights would do in real life, they call an audible and they go, right, you know, our purifiers are taking an absolute pounding on the right flank, and we could do with that smite on the left flank. So teleport away, zhumph, and teleport back in, zhumph, over there, and now we're gonna, you know, do our smite over there, and we're gonna cause some good damage. That's how the Grey Knights act in the lore. That's how they should act on the tabletop. I love this. I love this. I need to play it to see how balanced it truly is, but I'm loving the way this reads. It's a really powerful rule, but you've got to be a good player to make the most of it. You know? Easy to pick up, difficult to master. Against a novice player, yeah, this will be a nightmare. Against a novice player, or a player who's, you know, your average wargamer who isn't really, you know, expecting too much of a big deal, will be a nightmare. But against like a normal hobbyist who is, you know, aware of your rules and aware of how the game works and is a decent player, they're going to stand up to this, but it's going to be absolutely terrifying. Every army has rules like this, by the way. So people saying, oh, that's way overpowered. This happens all the time. That's way overpowered. No. Look at your army list first. Look at your army rule. And if your army rule isn't very good, then come to me and tell me that this is overpowered. Okay? But I see a lot of people, I see Space Marine players sometimes telling me, this is overpowered. Dude, look at your own rules. like, sorry, no. Like, this is not that powerful compared to yours, right? Let's get into it. But this is great. I really do like the teleport assault. I think that's really cool. So, the ability to pick up a handful of units each round and put them back down whenever you like is a powerful tool. Especially considering every infantry unit in the roster, plus the hulking Dreadknight, also comes with a deep strike ability as standard. Wow, okay. So every Grey Knight unit is yeah. So you could do this Dreadknights as well. That's going to be the tournament meta, you know. Tournament meta is going to be 3 to 4 Dreadknights in a single army, and then just picking them up and putting them down whenever you need them. Or if they're anywhere near close to dying, picking them up and taking them out of harm's way to go and fight something else and charge into combat. That's going to be the meta of Grey Knights. It's going to be 3 to 4 Dreadknights, backed up by a slew of Terminators and Purifiers. That's what we're going to see. And then we're going to have 2 or 3 of those Dreadknights will have Teleport Assault, and one of the Purifiers will have Teleport Assault. And before you know it, everybody's zooming around all over the place. You can actually have Interceptors in there as well, shunting across the board. Of course, they can already deep strike normally. So you could literally deep strike in with a force, do some damage, let the opponent have their turn, and then deep strike away again somewhere else. That's cool. I love that. Okay, so deep strike. During the declare formations battle step, okay, if every model in a unit has this ability, you can set it up in reserves instead of setting it up on the battlefield. Okay, so this is before the battle, when you're telling people what you've got. If you do so, in the reinforcement step of your movement phase, you can set up this unit anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away, horizontally away from enemy models. That's fine. So basically it's the same thing we had last time, no problem. Okay. Alright. Grey Knights always get to fight on the ground on their own charge on the ground of their own choosing, and any opponent will face an uphill struggle to pin them down or isolate objectives. Seizing control of the battlefield becomes even harder when faced with a teleport strike force detachment. Faced with a tricky terrain or blockading troops, these warriors can simply teleport shunt their way right through. Yes, so this is also in the current rules as well. Shunting through people, like being able to, like, oh, you're trying to block me from that objective. No, you don't. Jump. I'm gonna go right past you. Anyway, teleport shunt detachment rule. Each time a Grey Knight's unit with the Deep Strike ability advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, until the end of the phase, add 6 to that unit's move characteristic. That unit can fly. Wow, and that unit can fly. Wow, okay. That's not as good as it was. That's not as good as it was. Because you still can't charge from advancing, but you can charge from deep striking now. So, back in the day, a teleport shunt was a one-off 30-inch move. Woomph. And you're up the table, right? You can do that with anybody. You can do that with interceptors. You can do it with Dreadknights, right? It's a really powerful one-off. Bang! Here we go. Here I am, right? And anybody with the capability in their war gear could teleport shunt. So you could teleport shunt 30 inches and then charge, or fire and charge, right? That's an incredible set of rules to have access to, and it could really turn the tide of a battle, especially if your opponent is holding ground, or holding an objective, or trying to stop you from getting somewhere. You could shunt straight past them, and just come in. The amount of times I would shunt behind somebody and then charge into their rear of the lines would be... I love doing that. It was such a cool moment to see. You know, purifiers and well, not purifiers, but interceptors doing that. They're earning their weight in gold by shunting behind the opponent, turning right back around again, and charging at his rear lines. That's really cool. That's not really a thing you can do anymore. It basically means that you can turn anybody that has the capability to teleport shunt into a jump unit, right? Who can go 12 inches instead of 6. I mean, it's fine, but then again, you're moving 6 inches, aren't you? Yeah, so you're literally moving 12 inches. You're just moving 12 inches. You're going, right, 6 inches, and we're teleport shunting another 6 inches. Okay, I mean, fine. And it's ignoring all sorts of terrain and things that can fly. Okay, fine. Not as good as the old teleport shunt. But, the thing is, I'm thinking teleport shunt, instead of having to give specific pieces of war gear to people, the way that they're trying to balance it is, instead of giving specific war gear to a unit so it can shunt, right, and it can only shunt once, instead of doing that, now they're saying, no, anybody with a deep strike ability can do this for free, because, you know, it's just their army ability, it's what they have in their detachment, right, and also, they can do it again and again and again and again. So you can have 4 or 5 units with a deep strike ability, and if they've got teleport shunt, all of a sudden, nearly half or 3/4 of your army is shunting 12 inches across the battlefield, right? So whilst the shunt rule isn't as good as a one-on-one characteristic, like as a one-on-one read one rule then read the other, right? It's no longer anywhere near as circumstantial. Now nearly everybody in your army can do this. That's incredible. That's incredible, right? That's cool. So can you imagine somebody coming down with teleport shunt, so they deep strike in, they've deep striked in, and then, okay, at the start, in their next turn, they're going to teleport shunt behind the enemy lines, do a bit more damage. And at the end of their opponent's turn, they immediately deep strike away again, and do exactly the same thing on the other side of the battlefield, right where your opponent doesn't want them to be. The Grey Knights are very flexible and really hard to pin down, and I love that. I love that. The Grey Knights are acting like they do in the lore, which is another thing that I begged Games Workshop to do for years. So I can't really have a go at them for this. That's a really cool rule. Alright, Unit Spotlight. I'm surprised they went with the Purgation squad for Unit Spotlight. I am quite surprised. Although they have plenty of vehicles to add to their assault, Grey Knights are primarily an infantry force with a variety of specialised squads. Purgation squads, for instance, can use their astral aim to draw lines of fire through the eyes of their battle brothers, shooting powerful firearms at targets they can't even see. I love that. Astral Aim's brilliant. So, Astral Aim. In your shooting phase... Oh, God, have you got a 2+ save as well? What? Why have they got 2+ save? That's incredible. Why have they got 2+ save? That's awesome. Do they have a 2+ save in the current edition? No. They don't in my codex. I'm not putting my name to that. I need to see. Dreadknight, Purgation Squad, stats, datasheet. 9th. No way. No way have they got a 2+ save. Yeah, 3+ saves. 3+ saves. So they got a better. Oh my god. Right. So that is quite a power jump for them. But anyway, in your shooting phase for Astral Aim, ranged weapons equipped by models in this unit have the indirect fire ability, provided the target of that weapon is visible to one or more friendly Dreadknight Psyker units. Okay, so no longer can they just shoot through walls. Now, as long as one Dreadknight can see you, all Dreadknights can see you. That's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. I'm not gonna. So you could put these guys at the back of at the very back of the battlefield. That's stupid, man. That's really powerful. That's silly. So you could have 3 or 4 units of Purgation squads at the back of the battlefield, completely out of the way. Teleport everybody up the field, and then just fire as if you were standing right next to them with your entire Purgation squad. That's stupid. Even I'm saying that's stupid. That's silly. I'm a Dreadknight player. That's silly. I'm here to tell you that's silly. I'm sorry, guys. That is quite overpowered. That is quite overpowered. So that's it. Yeah, that's the meta now. Okay, so you got 4 Dreadknights in an army, 2 or 3 units of strike squads or interceptors or terminators, whatever troop you want, you know. Because now you don't even need interceptors to be that quick because everybody can do it. Your bloody terminators and paladins can become jump troops, for fuck's sake, for free, right? So that's your core. Then you get loads of Purgation squads at the very back of the battlefield behind them. In cover. Hunkering down in cover. Unkillable, basically. Because they've now got a 2+ save and they're in cover. You shunt everybody forward. You teleport everybody forward. You deep strike everybody forward. And all of a sudden, not only has the opponent got all of this firepower and blade work coming straight at them, now they've got firepower coming at them from nowhere, just from the back of the battlefield. So many people are going to be caught out by this. That's silly, man. That's silly. I need to read what indirect fire is, but that is silly. If it works as they say it works here, god damn it, Grey Knights are powerful. Oh, be still, my raging hard-on right now. Anyway. Coupled with the excellent mobility provided by their army rule, Purgation squads can easily shoot behind cover before unleashing a fusillade from unexpected quarters, as I was just saying, yeah. When overt in-your-face power is the order of the day, Grey Knights can instead strap into their unique nemesis Dreadknights. These massive walking warsuits give individual warriors the ability to go toe-to-toe with greater demons and prevail, especially for a Grand Master who can unleash a surge of wrath to slaughter the biggest baddies. I really wish they would release an update to this kit. It just looks silly. And some of the actual converted models of Dreadknights that I've seen over the years have been absolutely beautiful. Really, really well done. And I really wish that the studio would take some some inspiration from that. But anyway, Dreadknight looks very much the same as it did. Its weapons are, shall we say, very good. Yeah. No longer are we getting a 2+ to hit, but that's fine. We need to come down in certain ways because we have had such a power surge in others. Movement of 8 inches is not quite what it was. Okay, cool. Anyway, moving on to the Surge of Wrath because I wanted to read about that. So, once per battle round in the fight phase, one model from your army with this ability can use it before resolving its attacks. If it does, until the end of the phase, each time that model makes an attack, that targets a monster or vehicle unit, you can re-roll the hit roll. You can re-roll the wound roll, and you can re-roll the damage roll. Wow. Wow, okay. That's cool. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. It's like a one-off fuck you. Okay. Yeah, I like that. It's a one-off fuck you. So it's not as if it's this huge thing that we're going for. I think when I was seeing the loss of the personality of certain parts of the psychic phase, because it just says, you know, Surge of Wrath Psychic. If I had a psychic phase, I could go, right, I'm putting Surge of Wrath on my Grandmaster here. And it's like, yeah, it's a cinematic moment. Now, it's just like, oh, I'm in the fight phase. Oh, I guess I'm doing Surge of Wrath. I don't need to roll for it, I'm just doing Surge of Wrath. I mean, okay, well, I don't know. It takes the moment out of it, sort of a thing, if you know what I'm saying. I approve of, like, shortening down the turn times and not having phases that certain players don't do anything in, but still, I quite like the personality of having to roll for your psychic stuff. That's pretty cool, though. It means that, you know, if you don't get enough damage, you can re-roll it. You're guaranteeing hits at this stage against big baddies, which is cool, because you've lowered down his 2+ weapon skill to be a 3+. That's fine. It does mean if you've got a great hammer, which is strength 14, you know, you really want to kill something. Yeah, it's a Hail Mary. I quite like that. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Alright. Heroism's Favour. Each time you target this model with a stratagem, it only costs 1 CP to use, even if the CP cost is higher. That's cool. I like that. Anyway, moving on. I like Dreadknight. Dreadknight Aura is going to be good. Weapon Spotlight. Every member of the Grey Knight is a walking wellspring of psychic power, and each unit has a different psychic ability. Purifier squads are all about incinerating their enemies up close with radiant soulfire, and their purifying flame psychic weapon adds a potent short-range blast to go along with their storm bolters and special weapons. Yeah, just like they do in the current edition. But let's see. Look at the models, though. These aren't Grey Knights, dude. Look at them. These are so old in terms of they're so small and diddy compared to actual Primaris Space Marines. Can you imagine a Grey Knight unit with, like, robes and, you know, all sorts of purifying etchings on their armor, esoteric etchings on their armor, and they're Primaris sized and in a dynamic pose, like sweeping around with dual halberds or a massive demon hammer? That would be so cool. And they're just... I don't get it, man. I don't get why they don't just update that fucking... I'm allowed to say this, by the way, because I stand up for you guys and your armies. I do. You know I do. But if you need an upgrade, I always stand up for you. Grey Knights need an upgrade as well. I'm telling you now. These Diddy Space Marines aren't cutting it anymore. Sorry. Stratagem Spotlight. Okay, so Purifying Frame is 18 inches, 1 attack, Blister Skill 3+, Strength 4, AP -1, Damage 1. It's fine. It's fine. You know, it's fine. It ignores cover, Psychic, yeah, it's fine. 1 damage. I mean, that's a bit of a downgrade on what we used to have. It used to basically be that purifiers would just get better smites, essentially. They could just smite and it was better than normal smite. And that worked, it was fine. So this is a big downgrade, if I'm remembering that correctly. But it's 1 per model, you have to remember that. So this isn't per unit, right? This is 1 per model. So everybody's firing this. So if you have a unit of 10 purifiers, which by the way is very expensive points-wise, but if you have 10 purifiers, they're doing this as on top of their storm bolters and on top of everything else that they can do, right? So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's just not as good as it used to be, which is terrible. Because I want them to have smite, but better, please. Strength 4, AP -1. It might technically be better than smite, but it's not that much better. You know, it's. I'm not sure purifiers are going to be worth the points cost to take them, unless this is I'm not seeing something here. But anyway. Many of the Teleport Strike Force stratagems take advantage of their coming and going by granting boons to units that just arrived by Deep Strike or Teleport Assault, enforcing their role as a series of precise hammer blows that land wherever the enemy doesn't want them. Exactly, exactly what I said before. That's how this reads, and that's how they're going to play. Keeping your limited numbers safe during these dangerous manoeuvres is of paramount importance. Fortunately, enemy marksmen have serious trouble aiming at squads haloed in soulfire. Okay. So, this is a stratagem. Let's have a little look. When in your movement phase. So in my movement phase as a Grey Knight player, that's when I'm doing haloed and sunfire. So I'm going to look at and soulfire. So I'm going to look at a unit that I'm thinking is going to attract a lot of enemy fire, and I do this. Target one Grey Knight Psyker unit, everybody's Psykers, from your army that is arriving using the Deep Strike or Teleport assault abilities in this phase. Effect: until the start of your next phase, your next movement phase, your unit cannot be targeted by range attacks unless the attacking model is within 12 inches. That's brilliant. And oh my god, what have we just seen from the Dreadknights? What have we just seen? This costs 2 CP, which is kind of expensive. Not for a Dreadknight though. For a Dreadknight, it costs 1 CP. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's really cool. So you could literally go, yeah, my Dreadknights are going to be... This Dreadknight's going to be haloed in Sunfire. And Soulfire, sorry. So yeah, I'm sorry, Tower player, you can't hit him with your stupid Riptide that is at the back of the board like a fucking coward. Yeah, you can't hit my Dreadknight anymore, sorry. Because, yeah, you just can't target him. Like, mate, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. We're gonna be seeing a lot of warlords who are a Grandmaster and Nemesis Dreadknight warsuits now, and they're going to be nigh on unkillable as long as you're very clever at what you're doing with them. That's incredible, man. That is incredible. And you might even use it on a Dreadknight. You could use it on anybody. You know, wherever you need to use it, just whack it down. Haloed and Sunfire, away we go. When a charge hits home and those Nemesis force weapons start chopping, extra motes of psychic power can be channeled directly into the blades themselves, wreathing swords and halberds in searing flame that slices through armour and potentially even invulnerable saves with each radiant strike. Wow, no invulnerable saves, okay. This is 2 CP. Bear in mind, if you give it to a Dreadknight, it's 1 CP. And I bet you, by the way, I bet you, a lot of HQ choices from the Grey Knights also have Heroism's Favour. I'm willing to bet that's going to be the case. Anyway, during the fight phase, okay. It's kind of like Force then. Target one Grey Knight Psyker unit from your army. Again, every single Grey Knight unit in the Codex is going to be a Psyker unit. Effect: until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by models in your unit with the Psychic ability also have the Devastating Wounds ability. Okay, so basically I think it's mortal wounds on 6s to hit, right? Or 6s to wound. Anyway, still very, very, very good, and still means that if you're using this strategy, you can take down big beasties with smaller units, which is one thing that I was praying Games Workshop would do. I really miss, back in the day, I really miss force weapons. I really miss having my friends be very arrogant with their greater demons and their massive monsters and things like that, and I go up to it with one Grey Knight, I've got force on, I do 1 wound to the bastard, and he's dead. Right? I loved that, because the amount of people you would catch out with it going, yeah, you know I put force on that, right? That's why the blue thing's next to them. Because they forget, you put force on them, and you do it underhandedly. In your psychic phase, you go, yeah, I'm going to put force on this unit here. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that goes off, right? And you move on straight away, right? And then they sneak in to a Greater Demon of Khorne or whatever, who's slaughtering everything in the battlefield. They poke him once with their little force halberd, dunk, and it dies just straight away. I used to love that. That was so brilliant. Way overpowered, way silly, but still really, really, really cool and really, really thematic of what the Grey Knights are supposed to do. This seems like a more balanced version of that, which is perfect. And this might be the only time I've done one of these videos where I've not seen something that jumps out at me and I go, that's a bit wrong. The only thing that I would say is probably the the Purgation squads being able to fire through the eyes of other Grey Knights. That's silly, and that might need a rework later on, because that's going to be the meta. Every boring player who just wants to win using Grey Knights will take loads of Purgation squads, stick them in a fortress right at the back, or a piece of terrain right at the back of the table, and watch them fire at everything without ever being fired on in return, right? It's basically free kills. The Purgation squads are now free kills. You can get free kills with them, and they'll never be targeted by anything. And even if they are, and you really want to keep them alive, you know, just whack Haloed and Soul Fire on them. And they're right at the back of the board. Nothing's firing at them. And the only thing that's going to fire at them is things that deep strike next to them. And guess what? As soon as your opponent's fired at them once, you just deep strike them away again. It's silly. That's the only thing I can see. I might be reading it wrong. If I am reading it wrong, guys, let me know. But it says here, look, in your shooting phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in this unit have the indirect fire ability, right? Provided the target of that weapon is visible to one or more other friendly Grey Knight striker units. So, as long as my Nemesis Dreadknight can see you, my Purgation squad at the back of the board, in the bunker or in the crater lying down, can fire at you. It's just silly. It's just silly. And these weapons are pretty good. You can even... oh my god, flamers from across the battlefield. That's hilarious. There are so many friends I'm going to piss off with this. It's going to be so funny. But hey, it's a good use for your Purgation squads now. You can build them. You can use them. And you're going to get... This is what it is. Nobody was using these in 9th. Nobody was using Purgation squads in 9th. Right? Or 8th or 7th. Nobody was using them. Grey Knights were an up-front, in-your-face, teleporting army that sliced you up. And if they couldn't do that, they'd instantly die, because there wasn't very many of them. Now, we've got options, right? Now we've got options, not only for the Purgation squad, but to get our units out of harm's way before you can retaliate properly. You get 1 round to retaliate against us. If you don't kill us, we'll come back again somewhere else. Even stronger, right? Buffed up, ready to go. This codex might be powerful, but it is literally how the Grey Knights are in the actual lore, and I'm very impressed. I'm very, very, very impressed so far by what I've seen. So well done to Games Workshop for getting an army right for a change, and by golly, it's mine. It's my army. Now, as you know, I've not done too many of these over the past few weeks, so I wanted Games Workshop to get ahead of me again in how much of the spotlights they're bringing out. I will be doing at least 2 of these a week, and if I get to a certain number on Patreon or in subscribers, I will start doing more than 1 video a day to get through these, because they are cool, and I love doing these videos. They're so fun to do. So, I love you all long time. Those are the Grey Knights. I'm extremely happy, as you can probably hear. What do you think? Are they way overpowered? Do you not like the way that the studio is taking them in this direction? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. I love you a long time. Those are the Grey Knights, and my god, am I going to have fun with these in 10th edition. Love you so much. See you later. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow with more Hobby Nightmares, and by god, is there a doozy tomorrow. It is a big one tomorrow. Looking forward to it. See you then. Have a good one. Love you a long time. Bye.